I first want to note that the $1 billion club that was referenced by my colleague on the other side doesn't actually calculate the cost of so-called climate-related disasters. And in fact, at this point, NOAA is refusing to provide the information in support of their so-called $1 billion club. But we will continue to dig into that, get the information, but that doesn't relate to climate and weather-related events. Dr. Buccino, as you are probably aware, the BLM recently announced its final SEIS and amendment to the Buffalo Field Office's Resource Management Plan. The RMP laid out 3 alternatives, 2 of which were terrible for the state of Wyoming and the nation as a whole, and will literally cost our economy tens of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars over time. Unfortunately, the BLM selected the no leasing alternative, which ends all federal coal production in the Powder River Basin by 2041. Director Buccino, yes or no, are you aware of this RMP?
Yes, Congresswoman, I am, but it is not a decision that OSMRE made.
I understand that, but you're aware that RMP was recently issued. I believe it was on Friday.
Yes, I am.
Assuming that you are aware of the importance of the federal revenue generated through coal mining, were you consulted at any point in the BLM's decision related to that RMP?
So,
yes or no?
Well, you know, I don't have that answer with me, but
I don't know whether your office was consulted or not.
A lot of the work happens by the hardworking, talented staff of the agency.
Were you personally consulted before the BLM made this decision to stop all coal production in the Powder River Basin in Wyoming?
I was not personally consulted.
Thank you. Wyoming produces 40% of the nation's coal, and as you are no doubt aware, fees from coal produced on federal lands support the Abandoned Mine Lands, or AML fund, which goes to cleaning up mines that were deserted decades ago. Did the BLM consult with you to determine how placing a moratorium on federal coal leasing today will affect the AML and environmental remediation in the future?
Not with me personally.
The coal industry currently employs 5,111 individuals, 4,400 in the Powder River Basin, at an average wage of $95,000 per job. This is well above the state average of $53,000 per job. And each of these jobs supports another 2 jobs in the service and supply sectors. As the primary agency overseeing regulating coal mines and abandoned mine lands, how are you preparing to mitigate the impact of these lost jobs?
Well, as you know, Congresswoman, I actually come from Wyoming, and I care very much about those communities. In fact, I was working at the University of Wyoming to help those communities.
So what are you doing to address these lost jobs?
For one thing, we're working to get out. We do, let me make clear, that was not our leasing decision. We do oversee the mining plans, and we are moving forward. In fact, we have approved.
So at this point, you don't have a plan of action in place to address those lost jobs?
We're doing what we can within our authority.
Dr. Applegate, the United States has an abundance of minerals that can and should be developed to increase energy reliability, stimulate our economy, and make us less dependent on foreign countries. The Energy Act of 2020 defines critical minerals to include minerals that the supply chain of which is vulnerable to disruption, etc. Currently, Russia produces about 20% of the global potash supply, while China produces about 10%, and the United States has an estimated 1.07 billion tons of recoverable ore and about 243 million tons of potassium oxide deposits. Dr. Applegate, you are aware, aren't you, that fertilizer is considered one of the 4 pillars of modern civilization, the other 3 being cement, steel, and plastics, all of which require coal and petroleum products to produce. Were you aware that a fertilizer is one of the 4 pillars of a civilized society?
Fertilizer is absolutely essential for the modern economy. Absolutely.
Well, and do you and does the service agree that considering growing demand for fertilizer on a global scale, that it is absolutely essential that we don't allow China and Russia to control such an essential market?
So our focus is on the specific mineral commodities, and so we are tracking both potash as well as phosphate. So in other words, the constituents.
Have you considered putting potash and phosphate or phosphorus on the critical minerals list?
Both have been considered. In the case of potash, we do rely on imports, but they're almost exclusively from Canada, as well as we have mining in multiple states. In the case of phosphate, we do produce more than 80% of that domestically, and our reliance for imports is largely on Peru, which has been a stable trading
Again,
partner.
are you going to consider putting either one of these on the critical mineral list?
So all of these, yes, these are minerals that with each round of the critical minerals list, we have a methodology. We will apply that to those minerals for consideration. They're not currently on the list for the reasons that I cited, but absolutely, we're always looking.
Are you considering putting them on the list now?
We are considering them for the upcoming list that is, we're mandated under the Energy Policy Act of 2020 to deliver. We're working on that right now, and it will be targeting for the 2025 timeframe.